On the line with us is our old buddy Joe Madison, who's on the air on Sirius XM earlier in the morning from 6 to 10 on, what is it, one channel 127?
126.
126. Thank you. Joe, welcome back. And by the way, we will, if you can stick around, right now we're on break with Sirius XM, and I want to bring you back when we come back from this break, but we are live on our Pacifica affiliates and on Free Speech TV and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No problem.
So tell me about Louis Gates and this what's a series that he's put together, is it not?
Well, yeah. Well, you know, this is his fifth season, Tom, of Finding Your Roots. It is an amazing TBS series. He takes individuals from all around the country. Many entertainers, sometimes authors. Michael Moore has been featured. The list is, I had Valerie Jarrett on my show just recently with her new book, I Found My Voice. And she was in the earlier series, but this is his fifth year. And basically, it started out DNA, you know, and breaking down what parts of the world you came from. But then they go much deeper, using census, church Bibles, birth records, and they, in essence, do your family tree as far back as the paper trail will take.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, if you haven't seen it, or you haven't, I imagine most of your listeners have, you really have to, you might want to binge.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's. You told me about this the last time I saw you in D.C. and then I don't know what happened. I missed it, and I want to track it down and watch it. So I've got to do that.
Moving.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we were a little busy, but also and we'll reprise this in just 1 minute as we rejoin Sirius XM, but. I'm curious if your callers are, what their take is on this whole immigration thing and Kirstjen Nielsen and all that.
Well, first of all, I think most of my callers, knew that, her goose was cooked months ago when Trump outed her, fronted her off, I should say, in a cabinet meeting. That was the first nail in her coffin. And I suspect, and this is all I said to my audience, I suspect she realizes she's got a career after Donald Trump. And there's just no way she's going to go down with him. Look, she knows what the law is. Everybody around him knows what the law is. But you've got the Stephen Millers of the world who are just outright anti-immigrationists. Quite candidly, I don't have a problem calling a spade a spade. They're racist. This isn't about national security. This is simply about, as you know, the fact that they don't want brown people coming into this country the way that they didn't care if Irish or Europeans came. This is all this is about. She's on, and God bless her, and hope she has a new career somewhere.
One of the just absolute radio greats of our era. Joe and I were just talking about essentially the racism in the White House that's driving this immigration policy, and I want to get your thoughts on that in just a second. But first off, there is a series that Louis Gates has put together. It's Louis Henry Gates Jr., isn't it, as I recall? Joe?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. There is a series that he has put together called Finding Your Roots on PBS on Tuesday evenings. That would be tomorrow night. Is your show going to be up tomorrow night on PBS?
Yes, mine. I think ours is the last episode of this new season. Mm-hmm. So you have to check your local listings, as they say with PBS, but. It's an award-winning series that, as I think you mentioned, it's in its fifth season. But absolutely fascinating. Forgive the sound. They're not coming after me. I'm just downtown.
It's all good. You're a lot louder than the noise. How did this series start, and what does he do?
Well, basically what he does is through the use of DNA. He follows your DNA, and then he has this amazing team of researchers that follow the paper trail as far back as you possibly can go. For example, Strahan, the ABC morning host and former New York Giant, All-Pro Hall of Famer, they followed his roots all the way back to Charlemagne. He's actually a DNA cousin of Charlemagne.
Whoa!
With my roots, and they present you your family tree. This is one of the things.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to hear yours.
And mine, oh God, when he took it back to 1649.
Wow.
And that's what they do. They use census. They use church Bibles because of particularly a lot of African Americans that weren't mentioned in the census except maybe by first name or the fact that they were a slave or were owned by some people. But then people had and in Europe they did this. People would have their birth records in Bibles. And he travels all over the world. His crews, his staff, they travel all over the world, and they take your paper trail all the way back to as far as the paper trail will go until the end. And so what happened with in mine, it took me, he said, 5 years. Now, why so long? You'd have to ask him. But, with African Americans, it's very difficult. Sometimes we stop a little before the Civil War, right after the Civil War. But he was able to go way back. But the big shocker that everybody is talking about, he called me a few months ago, said he had completed the research. The DNA had been done. They had followed the paper trail, Tom. And then he said, but I've got bad news. And what I'm about to tell you is one of the most difficult things I've had to tell any guest that I've had. And that is that the man you thought was your father your entire life, biologically, is not your father.
Wow.
Then he did something that I always appreciate, and it was just decent of him. He said, "If you don't want to go ahead with the episode, I will not hold it against you, and we'll just cancel it."
Yeah.
And he didn't have to do that because when you consider the expense,
sure,
of what he went through, and of course, it was just a moment pause, and I told him, "No, let's do it." And then, of course, the next questions are: the people alive? Is the biological father alive? I found out I had two brothers that I didn't know, older brother and a younger brother. One lived in Los Angeles. Another one we grew up together in the same town in Dayton, Ohio. Grew up together, went to the same elementary school and the same high school.
And you didn't know he was your brother?
Nope. He knew me. I didn't know him, but he knew of me. And the part of the episode, you'll get a chance to see I guess you can't call it a reunion because we never met. And none of us knew each other. So the younger brother didn't know about the older brother. Older brother didn't know about me and didn't know about the younger brother. So they brought us together with a film crew, and we talked and met for the first time. It's fascinating.
It sounds like it. It is.
And one grandfather was part of the Tuskegee experiment.